I gave you mod, wise ass. This is weird. I don't understand what happened. Now I have the ability to ban and time people out in the chat. Is it a bug? This is a Zerg stream, dude. Zerg is a bugs. Okay. This is for dearest friend StonCon. And yeah, I trust you, Black Sword. Don't fuck it up. Alright. So, some ZVP stuff. We'll just zoom through, kind of talk about the basic principles. But in ZVP, I take my third hatch at about 21 supply. Why is that? That's because Protoss does not have Reapers or Lingbane Chiefs. So I take my third base, and then when my natural finishes, I make a queen. You see a queen at the natural, and then I make 25 Overlord, and then I make another queen from this base whenever the first queen finishes. So in ZVP, I'm making queens one at a time for the first two, and then I make them two at a time. If that sounds confusing, go talk to your math teacher. One at a time and then two at a time. So that's my first two. I inject and then I lay a tumor. My second queen comes out. I have 4 lings for defense against Adept. 2 base saturation. You can go Roach Warren and a gas if you want to be safe. And now I'm making 2 queens. I think I made a lair because I saw Twilight. No? I'm making a lair because my 1 roach speed. Cool, so 2 base mineral saturation, I take my second gas. One of the main pitfalls that players make, especially as Zerg, is they take their gases too early, and it fucks their economy. Don't do that. Take your second gas whenever you have 2 base mineral saturation. So right now, this base is saturated. This base is saturated. Taking another gas, Hydroden. Taking gases here as this saturation is being met. So I have 59 workers. I have 3 queens this game. So there's a variety of approach when you're going for your macro in every matchup as Zerg. Do you want to go queen light or queen heavy? And it's a hard question to answer because a lot of it depends on your personal preference. And I don't know people who ask random questions in the chat about when you should take your queens and how many. But basically, 1 queen at a time from your natural, 2 of them, and then you make 2 queens at a time, so you have up to 4. If you want to be really safe against Warp Prism, you can go up to 7 queens, where you have 1 queen injecting each base, and then you have an additional 4 queens that focus the Warp Prism to keep you safe against the DT drop, the Archon Prism harass, and all of that garbage. So that's the basic gist of your Zerg macro setup. Mouse up here in the top right and you can see your worker count. You should get between 67 to maybe 70 to 80 workers, depending on what you can do. Most low-level players are low-level because they just don't make a good economy at any point in the game. They're kind of managing a situation with 40 to 50 workers, and they just can't sustain production over time. The primary strength of Zerg is our ability to sustain production over time. Our units are worse, period. They're weaker, they're cheaper, they're faster, but they're crappier. So what we want to do is get our saturation amount. We want to get 65 to 80 workers, somewhere in that range. And then we want to hit 200 supply with a shit whack of army. And then we want to take a big fight, trade out our army with a nice A move, and then we want to remake a new army that is hopefully higher quality. That's basically Zerg in 5 minutes or less. You want to set up your macro with 3 to 4 bases. You want to set up your drone count with 70 or so. You want to get 200 supply as fast as you can, and then you want to take fights and remax. That's basically Zerg's macro approach to the game, if you want to simplify it. If you want to boil it down to the bare essentials. I'm not even doing that great of a job of maxing out here. Should make more Hydras, I think. Going for some drops. Denying the opponent's newest base is always the most crucial. The newest base has the most resources and it's the most hurtful for them to lose. After you go for Hydraling Bane for your first max out, you can go for a Hive and a Spire at the same time to prep for a Broodlord transition. Real quick, if you want the upgrade order that I usually take, I'll typically go +1 melee attack off of 1 Evo Chamber, and then +2 melee attack, and then +1 ranged, +2 ranged, +3 melee. Often I'll skip out on the armor upgrades because Zerg units die to Protoss in 2 hits anyway, and it doesn't really make much of a difference. So that's Zerg explained in 10 minutes or less for ZVP. You maxed out at 920 and killed him? That's the mysterious but surprisingly obvious secret to being successful.